What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update. We brought you some news yesterday. Regarding Toby Alderweireld going out to Qatar. That he was due to land in Qatar yesterday, and it looks as though that deal has moved on quite considerably. We saw pictures of him he landing in Qatar with a Qatari scarf around his neck, and the update now is that Tottenham defender Toby Alderweireld pictured in Qatar ahead of his move to Qatar for a £13 million deal, and Toby will sign a 3-year deal with Al Duahi. What a deal out of the blue. We're actually making profit on Toby Alderweireld. That's actually unbelievable.
Yeah, considering his age and considering where he's at in his career, I think it's a good move for everyone. I do think that it's a bit early in his career to be moving to Qatar. It's a bit odd. I do think he's got he's a lot better than that. He could definitely be playing in like Serie A or La Liga, or even in Premier League. He can still be playing in the Premier League right now. So I think in terms of him and him personally, his career, I do find it a bit strange, a bit early. He could definitely do this move in a couple of years. But in terms for Spurs, look, with us looking to revamp the central defence options, I did have a feeling at the end of last season that even though Toby was probably our best defender last season, he's still fairly likely to leave, considering his age and considering his high wage bill as well. So I think it's a good move for us, good money in, gets frees up some money in the wage bill, gets some money through the door as well. So I think it makes sense. And if he does want the move, which I find odd that he does, I would have thought he could have wanted a more ambitious move. But if he wants it, then I think it suits everyone in a sad way. It's sad because he's one of the best defenders to ever play for Tottenham in the Premier League, and he's going to end again, another player ending their time at Spurs without a trophy, which leaves a bit of a bitter taste. But I wish him all the best. Of course, he's a cool class defender, and I'm sure it'll be a great move for him in terms, like personally, and I'm sure his wage packet won't hurt him.
Yeah, I saw some rumours that he's going out there to earn 200 grand a week,
and he wouldn't get that anywhere else. To be fair,
No, he wouldn't, but that definitely will. Look, he's already him and his kids already set up for life. But in terms of the comments he made a few weeks ago in terms of he wants to go to Belgium, do you still feel that this is a move just to conceal him financially for a couple more years, and then he will end up going back to Belgium in 2-3 years' time after his contract ends there?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's going to be in Qatar for too long. I reckon a couple of years, get those big wages, then end his career in Belgium, maybe in Antwerp or somewhere like that. I think that's probably going to be the course of action for Toby. So yeah, I agree with that. It was a bit like when Tevez, he went to China for like a year, and then got his massive wages, and after a year went back to Argentina, having been paid got paid like 500 grand a week or something ridiculous, didn't he? So yeah. I think it'll be similar to that, I think. And I probably think if he waited a couple of years, I don't think he'd be getting 200 grand a week in Qatar, to be fair. So I think he's kind of hit a sweet spot where he's not like too bad, where the way he's still kind of a big name, even though he's getting on a bit. He's 32, but he's not like too old where it's like they're getting a player over the hill, so they're still willing to pay the big wages for him. So I think that's why the move is happening right now.
Yeah, and you got to say, like you mentioned before about the wages. He is was one of the top earners in the squad. So to get him off the wage bill and to bring in some other centre backs, younger centre backs, is definitely a step in the right direction for Tottenham. So we do wish Toby the very best in his future endeavours, and I'm sure when he does come back to White Hart Lane or back to Tottenham Stadium, he will get more than a good reception. He's definitely, like you said, one of the best, or if not the best, defender to play for Tottenham in the Premier League era, up there with Jan Vertonghen, up there with Ledley King. So we do wish him all the best, that's for sure. And I think that we'll miss him. We'll miss him around the club, just like we missed Jan Vertonghen last year, that's for sure. But we'll just have to see how it plays out, and I'm sure that his family will be very much looked after in Qatar. So definitely. Yeah, that's Toby Alderweireld. Let's move on. Let's talk about Bryan Gil. As Fabrizio Romano said yesterday, that Sevilla are set to sign the paperwork for the swap deal, including Bryan Gil and Eric Lamela, which is €25 plus Eric Lamela for Bryan Gil.
So I'm assuming €25 million, not €25. That'd be a
25
great deal
million
for
euros.
25
That's it,
euros.
25 million euros. I mean, Levy probably went in with 25 euros to start off the negotiations, but he did manage to get it up to 25 million, Monchi. But he also played in the Olympics today for Spain, coming on with 35 minutes to go. And apparently he really did change the game. It was 0-0 when he came on, and it ended up 1-0 to Spain. I didn't get to see much of the game, but I heard you watched some of it. So run us through how he did play.
Yeah, I mean, once I heard he was coming off the bench, I thought I'd find a link to watch the game and see what our new signing's all about. And I tell you what, he's very, very nifty. He always looks to create things. He always, whenever he was on the ball, he doesn't like to waste any opportunity on the ball. It seems he always looks to his dribbling ability, his close control is absolutely fantastic. He's always looking for openings and for a chance to take on players as well. He's always looking for an opportunity to get a player off balance or to cut inside or cut on the outside. He looks very unpredictable as well. So he did play on the left-hand side. He came on. He does look like he could easily do a job centrally as well, giving his close control and his ability to move around in tight spaces. So I think we could very well have a very good player on our hands. And he looks like a player who could definitely be playing on the right or the left as well. Obviously, he was staying on the left-hand side most of the time he was on, but it was very encouraging. I know it was only Australia in the Olympics. It was they were a tough nut to crack, and they ended up getting the goal near the end. But I think Hill definitely made a big impression when he was on the pitch, and I'm very surprised he doesn't start, because I thought they looked a lot better once he came on. So I think he looks like a real find, and at 20 years of age, he's only going to get better. So I'm very excited about having him in the squad next season. Hopefully, he can start making impact. I reckon it might take him a bit of time to settle, but I think once he does, we're going to have a real player.
Yeah, and what you're saying is kind of backing up from what I've heard the reports about him as well, how he loves to play within those tight spaces. And he actually doesn't like space too much. He likes to be crowded around players and likes to weave in between them, and you really using his technical ability. And I think that could really stand us in good stead when we've had a kind of long-standing problem when we do come up against a team with a low block. And I think someone like Bryan Gil can really, really help us combat that, can't he?
Definitely, but he's a bit of a strange one, because players like him, who usually maneuver in the tight spaces like he does, they usually play like an inverted winger. Usually they're more comfortable on the right hand side, cutting in, getting crosses in, and stuff like that. But he playing on the left is a bit of a peculiar role for someone. Like, if you see him play, you would think he was being an inverted winger, but the way he plays on the left-hand side, you don't see too often anymore, especially like as players like to play inverted. It's just it's a bit of a throwback to like old style, like left footer on the left wing kind of thing, and that's but he does it in a different way. It's hard to describe. So he's definitely an unorthodox player, but I think definitely teams in a low block are going to find him very, very difficult to manage, because he lives in those tight spaces. That's where he thrives. He lives for players in front of him, trying to find the openings in the tightest of spaces. And that's where he seems to thrive. So I think he can definitely help in that aspect.
Well, I cannot wait for him to pull on the jersey. I cannot wait to see him in action at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Premier League. I just cannot wait for it. I mean, this guy, he just seems as though he's got the X factor. I mean, yes, he's going to take time to settle in at Tottenham, but he's a really, really exciting signing. And I think that when you're comparing him to an Eric Lamela, you've got to say, if he can like produce half of what people were talking about him, Bryan Gil, he'll be an upgrade on Eric Lamela, won't he?
Definitely, and I'm hoping he'll be available a lot more than Eric Lamela. That's the main thing. I think that's probably the main thing that was preventing Lamela from really pushing on at Spurs, just his availability. So if he's available for even a quarter more games, that'll be a massive plus. But I think he can definitely bring something extra that Lamela didn't. I think that's what I feel. I think Lamela's dribbling style worked very well in Serie A, but it never really fully worked. I felt in the Premier League. I always felt like He was too easily
That's only because he
dispossessed.
held on to the ball for too bloody long. That's why.
That's also something he suffered with. But I feel like in if you watch his highlights back in Serie A, he was except for the ball roll, which he obviously outworked pretty well in the Premier League. Like he was able to beat players fairly easily and get into good positions. But in the Premier League, that was never really his game and never really worked for him in that sense. And hopefully, Bryan Hill will have more success in that aspect and being able to take people on and commit players.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to what you were saying about his position, I mean, I know he was predominantly used on the left-hand side last season, but from what I'm hearing, he's just as comfortable on the left as he is on the right, as he is in the centre. So we've got a very versatile player in our hands. And if we can somehow get Sonny on the left, Harry Kane up top with Bryan Hill on the right, I mean, that could be something really special. Really could. So let's move on. Let's talk about Christian Romero now. Ali Gold gave us an update yesterday on Romero, saying that there is a growing confidence within Spurs right now that an agreement can be reached with Atalanta for Romero as negotiations continue to advance over a complicated deal, though nothing has been agreed as of yet. And Sky Sports kind of backed up and say Tottenham and Atalanta are close to reaching an agreement for Romero. Both clubs are discussing a move to be worth around 40 to 45 million euros. Plus 10 million euros added in bonuses. So it really seems as though this deal is coming on, and it looks like he could be through the door. I mean, it's a dream signing, in my opinion.
And there are also reports in Italy that Atalanta have already lined up replacements for him, and they're going to go for Demirel from Juventus as their main replacement. So it seems like this one's moving. They look, when the selling club starts lining up replacements, things are advancing quickly, and it's very exciting, really exciting, because he's a defender who's done so well over the past couple of years. Got Serie A Defender of the Year last season, so he's got a bit of pedigree. He's young as well. He's only 23, so he could easily be our main defender for many, many years to come. And it's exactly the kind of signing we needed, exactly the kind of statement kind of defensive signing that we needed to start revamping our defence, because you could argue we've let go of our best defender now in Toby Alderweireld. It's definitely technically. So we definitely needed someone who's able to step up with the responsibility, and someone who's confident within himself and in form. And that's definitely Romero. That's definitely where he's at the moment. So I couldn't be more excited about his possible signing, and he's so aggressive. He likes to play on the front foot. He doesn't wait for you. He comes for you, and that's what's exciting about it.
With his age, Christian Romero, obviously he is quite young, and he hasn't had that many seasons in top-flight football. Do you feel that it is a bit of a risk, his signing, and do you feel that he could have quite a bit of a bedding-in period at Tottenham?
Yes, because at Atalanta, they're very used to playing a very specific, high aggressive system. Like, it's one of the most aggressive systems I've seen. So if you're very specialized in playing in a defense in such a specialized system, I think adapting to a new system, whatever that system is going to take some time. So I imagine Romero might take some time to bed in, might get used to the Premier League and to get used to how Tottenham play. But I fully believe it won't take him too long. I think he's got that much quality in him that I think hopefully it will take him maybe a few weeks, and then he'll be good to go. That's what I'm hoping for. It's a bit of a risk because if you take like a Skriniar who's been playing world class kind of ability for 3-4 years now. He's been really at the top of his game for a while. So taking a younger player like Romero and expecting him to kind of take to the Premier League like duck waters is a bit of a risk. Of course it is. There's a risk with any signing, but I think he's the right profile. He's the right kind of defender we need. And I'm just very excited about someone, a fresh face we can all get behind at central defence finally.
Yes, we've needed it for a long time. We really have. And I mean, going back to before, when we had Kyle Walker, Danny Rose, Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen, I mean, they're all gone now. It's absolutely unbelievable. They're all gone. And to talk about these new up-and-coming defenders, the Romeros, the Koundés, the Tomiyasus, I mean, this is exactly what we needed, because we haven't had upgrades in defence since we signed probably Toby Alderweireld. It's absolutely
I was about to say, yeah. You could say that. You could definitely say that was in 2015. So that's 6 years we haven't really upgraded at central defence. So I think it's very exciting that we've got someone through the door with that's in one of the most informed centre backs in Europe at the moment. So very, very exciting news for Tottenham. And congratulations, to Paratici for getting this one through the door. If he does, it looks like this is going to happen. So
don't give him congratulations just yet.
Yeah,
we all remember when you put Willian on FIFA on Tottenham.
Yeah, I don't want to congratulate him too soon. That's probably fair there. But I'm just excited that the potential for him coming through the door is very, very exciting for everyone, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm very excited on him as well. And talking of another centre-back, let's move over to Jules Koundé, as Ali Gold gave us a bit of an update on him yesterday. And he says Jules Koundé could be a deal that Fabio Paratici looks to conclude if he can continue to raise funds through sales. The defender's first choice is Real Madrid, but should they not make a move for the player, which is understood that they won't, he will be interested in moving to Tottenham. And in terms of Koundé as well, it's also reported that Sevilla do want Davinson Sanchez, so it could be a deal made in heaven, really. Getting a player that we want out the door, and bringing in another top sought-after defender from around Europe.
Well, according to reports, we've already agreed a deal with Sevilla. It's all on Koundé. So that's what DiMaggio was saying. There was an agreement. It was at 30 million plus Sanchez for Koundé. Sevilla found that acceptable, but Koundé was the one who stopped it. So I guess the ball is in his court at the moment. I'm not sure if the Romero deal affects that. I'm assuming it does. So I'm assuming now if we were going to get Romero, we need to get Sissoko out of the door probably, and Aurier out the door, these kind of players, before we can get Koundé in. But I think if we can get Koundé and Romero, and having 4 centre-back options of Koundé, Romero, Dyer, and Rodon. And that would be very, very positive going into the new season. I couldn't get more excited. It would be a complete revamp, and it would be definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, what I'm hearing, I think what Alistair Gold, what else was in his update yesterday, is that we're going to look to sign Romero no matter what players go out the door, but I'm guessing it was to do with the Toby Alderweireld deal. And if we are to get rid of a Davinson Sanchez, if we do try and get rid of one more centre-back, we will look in to bring in a Koundé. So that deal in itself, just Koundé for Davinson Sanchez plus 30 million, I mean, that in itself could be enough just to bring Koundé through the door without any other players going out the door.
That'll be an exceptional piece of business, and it'll be another one. Yeah. The only thing I would say about Koundé is clearly he would see Tottenham as a stepping stone. I think that would be clear, considering he wanted Real Madrid first, and he would only be moving to us because he wouldn't be going into that move. So it's always going to be on his mind. But to be fair, 30 million plus Sanchez, if he's at Spurs for 2 years, say 2 years, his price could easily be 60, 70, 80 million if he reaches his potential. So I think it's a deal that we have to try and our best to get over the line, because whatever happens, even if he does see Spurs as a stepping stone, we could make a massive profit on him, and that could see us improve around the areas in that time. So this is one where Spurs really need to try their utmost to try and get this one through the door, because he's one who's got a serious future ahead of him, and him and Romero, it's just mouthwatering thinking of them together and learning off each other and growing together as well, and they could be our centre-back partnership for years to come.
Yeah, you say that he sees Spurs as a stepping stone, which is true. Right now, he does see Spurs as a stepping stone. But when you look at last season, I mean, if we would have had a competent defence, I think personally we would have got top 4 easily. So if we are to upgrade the defence and get a few new signings, get a bit more deadwood out the door, and we can challenge for top 4 next year, and let's say we do get it for argument's sake, I mean, maybe that's enough to sway Koundé to stay here for the long term if we are getting Champions League regularly, potentially even further that 2-3 years down the line, having a few title challenges. So maybe that could sway him in the direction of staying here long term. What do you reckon about that?
Yeah, I agree. Of course, I'm not saying like he's going to come with the intention of like leaving within a couple of years, but obviously he has his heart set on Madrid. So I think at some point in his career, if Madrid do come calling for him, he may push for a move. However well Spurs are doing, to be honest, and it's unlikely we're going to be winning any titles. We might challenge one. You never know in the next 2-3 years if he signs. But I do clearly Madrid is a club of his heart. So. I mean, look, there's no point that you can't live like that in terms of like not choosing to sign the player because of what he might do in the future. You got to go for what you need and how good he is. That's what you got to base it on. And the other things that comes, whatever comes in the future comes. But I do think, yeah, we could obviously convince him to find a home at Tottenham and be here for the long future. And also you got to remember he's only 21, so he could easily be for Tottenham for 5 years. And that's that's a long time in this day and age, and then get a big move then. So I think if we do sign him, long term he'll probably see Tottenham as a stepping stone. But I do think he'll still be at Spurs for a long time.
What's your gut telling you? Is he going to get over the line this one?
My gut's telling me no. It's too good to be true. But you never know.
That's the Spurs in you.
Exactly.
But let's move on. Let's talk about Harry Kane now. There's been a lot of talk about him in the last 48 hours. Well, I say 48 hours, probably about 48 months about Harry Kane. But Mike McGrath said yesterday that Harry Kane is set to miss the start of the Premier League season and step out of the spotlight over his attempted leave of Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, I was waiting for this. And I mean, this kind of transfer window really does have an air of that year when we sold Gareth Bale. It really does. But the Athletic follow on from that and say Tottenham have communicated to Harry Kane yet again that they expect him to remain a Spurs player for next season. And RMC actually said yesterday that that Maurizio Pochettino's PSG hold a massive interest in signing Harry Kane should Kylian Mbappe leave the club this summer. So what's your take on the Harry Kane situation right now?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think there's any chance he goes to PSG. I don't think there's any chance of that. I don't think he's interested in playing in France. I don't think at all, really. Even if they are in Champions League and whatever competing for Champions League, I don't think that's what he wants for his career. I think he wants to be in England. So I don't think that that's an option for him, PSG. In terms of him missing the start of the season, I think that's still. I know it's 3 weeks away, but I don't think he would have made this decision up just yet. In terms of whether he's going to miss the start of the season, I think we'll have to see how the next couple of weeks go. He's probably going to return to training about a week before the season, isn't he? That's how these things go after the Euros. So I think it's way too early to say because Man City could easily pull out of negotiations and say, look, Tottenham's asking prices too high and there's no point carrying this on because we're never going to go that high. And if that happens, then I think Kane would have to be resigned to staying. And if that was the case, I don't think he would miss the start of the season. However, if there was indications that Man City are prepared to go fairly high and high enough, which could make Tottenham consider a bid, then maybe Spurs, maybe he would miss the start of the season while those negotiations are going on. But it depends how the next 2 weeks go. I think Mike McGrath might say that. I just think it's too early to say right now that he's in 3 weeks' time he's going to miss the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, but if he does miss the start of the season, does that tell us what we need to know about this transfer?
Obviously, it'll be a blow if that happens. And
I mean, did he miss the start of the season after the World Cup?
No, after the World, no,
he didn't, did he?
No, he played on the. I'm pretty sure he played early because he scored in August, straight after the World Cup. That was the first time he scored
after the World Cup. Was it when we played Newcastle, first game of the season?
Yeah, he played.
He played that game. Yeah, he played that game.
Yeah. So. It won't be Euros related if he misses it. It will definitely be a transfer related, and it would be a big blow if he's fit and he decides he doesn't want to. His head's not in the right space. That's never a good sign. Of course, it's never a good sign when that other player decides to do that. I don't think necessarily it would be the final straw. But it would be a big blow in Tottenham's negotiations and stuff like that because it will make it very, very clear that he's prepared to sit out the start of the season to try and push through this move. So I think obviously it would increase it by a lot that him leaving. But like I remember, Sancho, didn't he miss the start of the last season with Dortmund to try and force through that move, and it never happened. So it happens where players try and force it, and the club stands strong, and then the move doesn't happen. So I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion if he misses the start of the season. He's definitely off, but I think it makes it a lot more likely for sure.
Yeah. And in terms of our transfer dealings, obviously there is quite a positive vibe around Tottenham right now with Don Paratici at the wheel and all that kind of stuff. You know, we're looking to kind of revamp our defence, and we're like kind of seriously looking at getting a lot of deadwood out, bringing a lot of good players through the door. Would that have any kind of flicker in Harry Kane's mind? Do you think that kind of changes his mind at all whatsoever?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, if we can get the moves that we want done and get the players out that we think about outstay their welcome, of course, I'm sure he'll be looking at it and thinking, okay, so this is going in the right direction, and this is good things are happening. And I'm sure I don't think it will make him sit down and say, look, I'm happy here, and this is like now we're ready to challenge for titles because we're still probably another couple of years probably away from that, and that will definitely frustrate him. So I do think because I do think that will definitely he would still think, you know, this isn't the place I need to be to challenge, but if he is forced to stay, it could put him in an all positive mindset. If he does end up staying, that'll definitely make him think more positively about that aspect, and maybe not think that he's staying as begrudgingly as he would be if we didn't get those moves done that we need to get done.
All right, let's move on. Moussa Sissoko now. Ali Gold giving a bit of an update of him, and he says Moussa Sissoko is expected to leave the club this summer with interest from a number of clubs around Europe. I mean, who do you reckon's interested in Moussa Sissoko this summer?
Probably a lot of French clubs. I would assume something like that. You know, I think his stock is probably still quite high in France, considering he was called up for the Euro squad. He's still involved in international duty a lot. So they must think there's something about him in France, even though in Spurs we probably don't. So I do think that if he's available for a fairly low fee, there will be some clubs in France sniffing around him. So it's just about finding a club willing to put up the money, and I'm sure we'll find a suitor.
Yeah, and also the same applies to Harry Winks as well, where I think we've slapped about a 25 million price tag on him with both Everton and Aston Villa sneaking around for him. I mean, will it be a sad day for you when Harry Winks leaves the club?
Of course it would. Spurs boy through and through. I'd be very upset. But look, I have a feeling he's not going to be leaving this summer. I have a feeling he's going to stay for another year to try and prove himself. The rumours are that he wants to stay and fight for his place. That might not be up to him. He might be forced out, but I don't think Spurs, considering his length of his contract and stuff like that, I don't think they are going to do that. I think Nuno might see this as an opportunity to try and give him another lease of life, a new lease of life from that central midfield. And it would be an opportunity for him to prove that he's up to it. At the moment, the jury is well and truly out because of the past couple of years that he's had, or past year, I should say. But I think there's a player in there, and Nuno might think that as well. And considering that we're asking for 25 million, I can't see Everton or Villa stumping up that money right now for him. I think they'll probably want him cheaper, like about 15 million, probably. I don't know if that's probably why they're interested in him, because they probably think that he might be available for a decent price. So I don't think they're going to be something like that cash. So I think they might be stuck with him for another year at least.
And also, what the last bit of that update was that Tanguy Ndombele and Giovanni Lo Celso are very highly thought of by Nuno Espirito Santo, and they're going to be seeing a lot of game time from a deeper role and a more advanced role. I mean, that the thinking of Nuno on Lo Celso and Tanguy Ndombele, do you think that really affects Harry Winks and how many chances he's going to get this season? So maybe they will look to ship him out.
Yeah, I think it does, because if they're going to use both of them, or alternatively in a deeper role, then obviously it's going to limit Harry Winks's chances, unless we play a 4-3-3 and somehow fit them all in, but it's unlikely. But I think that I honestly think Ndombele and Lo Celso could be the key for us next season. We need to find a way of unlocking their talents and getting the best out of them in our 11, because then I really believe them two are the most talented players creatively in our squad. And I really believe they have the talent to be up there with the most creative players in the Premier League. And they've shown it on numerous occasions, just not on a consistent basis, unfortunately. And I think that's maybe Nuno's biggest job, is getting the best out of both of them, because Tottenham have invested heavily in both of them. It's going to be very hard to move on if we decide to go in a different direction. So I really believe unlocking their potential is what's going to be the key for us next season. I fully believe they can be unlocked, and I really believe if we do, then we could see a different side to this Tottenham side that we haven't seen yet. If we can really unlock their potential, I think it's the key.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And also, you got to say the emergence of Ollie Skip as well might even limit Harry Winks' playing time even more. So I really think that Harry Winks is leaving the club this summer. I just can't see a way where he stays with the Giovanni, Tongi Ndombele, Ollie Skip, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg all ahead of him in the pecking order right now, in my opinion, anyway. So I can't see a way.
They're definitely ahead of him in the pecking order right now. But whether what Nuno sees on the training ground and what he sees during pre-season, if he sees a player that he feels like he can use, or if he feels like there's no place for him, it's up to Nuno. I just got a feeling that he won't be leaving this summer. That's my gut. But I don't, if I'm proved wrong and then we get a decent fee for him, then I think with the options we have, we'll still be in a good place.
And last but not least, Joe Rodon, Ben Davis, Hugo Lloris, and Moussa Sissoko are all returning tomorrow for pre-season. So that's like the kind of last lot to return before the finalists, before the England players, and obviously Giovanni Lo Celso. And then last but not least, we've got a good luck to Paolo Gazzaniga, who was signed for Fulham as of yesterday. So I think he's going to be Fulham's first choice keeper in the Championship next year. So I'm looking forward to, if we do get them in the cup, or if they do come up next season, to give them a nice warm reception at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But yeah, those are my good lucks to Gazzaniga. Yeah,
and it's a good move for him. He gets to stay in London, so doesn't have to start moving all over the place. And and if they do get promoted, that's a decent chance for them to get promoted, because that's how they've been the past couple of years. And he could easily be a number one in the Premier League in no time. So good luck to Paolo. Always done a good job when called upon for Spurs. So hopefully this move works out for him.
All right. So there you have it. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below all your thoughts regarding all the news we have brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.